Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name's Ryan and I'm a former Royal Marines Commando from the UK, and today we're going to be talking about NATO and their formal invitation of Finland and Sweden to become members of the alliance. Now, we've done a lot of talking on this channel regards Ukraine and Russia, but we haven't really spoken much about the neighbouring countries and, you know, the decisions they might be making with regards to the invasion and the war over there, because it is actually changing people's opinions about what they think's a good idea in terms of NATO. Is it a good idea to join? Isn't it? All of that good stuff has been spewing out of the news recently, so we're going to get into that one today. But before we do, guys, please smash that like button, share the channel, subscribe if you haven't done so already, and if you're a returning subscriber, guys, I just want to say a personal thank you to each and every one of you. You really do mean a lot. But let's just get into this one, guys. I hope you have a good time on the video today. Drop a comment as well, let me know where you're watching from.
Today, NATO leaders took the historic decision to invite Finland and Sweden to become members of NATO.
Right, so it doesn't matter if you agree or disagree with NATO and its alliance being a force for good. There's one thing for sure. Sweden and Finland are good countries, in my humble opinion. They've got a fantastic military, and I like the fact that it brings those countries into a more formal arrangement with countries such as the UK, my country, America, France, all of these countries that are already good militarily. You know, they're a work in progress politically, but I think every country on the planet is, and they always will be. That's the whole point of decent democracy working in the first place. It's a ever-changing thing, but Sweden, you know, I've talked a lot about Sweden on my time on the channel. I've got quite a big love for them. I think as a people, they're a fantastic people. The fighting spirit of the Finnish is phenomenal, among the greatest warriors on the planet. So yeah, I want to get them on board. I want to be part of the alliance that they're part of. Okay, and they need to be brought in. And I'm glad that NATO finally has invited them to join forces, so to speak. How does that affect the grand scheme of things and the situation in Ukraine? Well, for a start, it stops Russia putting pressure on countries closer to where I live, okay? When you look at the map, you look at where Sweden and Finland is located, it makes sense that they both join. Finland can't join without Sweden, and Sweden can't join without Finland. These guys work together anyway, and if you look at where Russia could come across that flank, if it's going to take Finland out, it's in Sweden's best interests to be part of the same group anyway, because they're both in it together, really. There's only a border that separates the countries from each other. So, yeah, I'm all for it.
The agreement concluded last night by Turkey, Finland and Sweden paved the way for this decision.
Right, so here's a question to you guys then. What do you think? Maybe as you're watching this from Sweden or from Finland, how do you feel about this whole NATO and joining NATO? It'd be great to hear from you guys.
I would like to thank Turkey, Finland and Sweden for accepting my invitation to engage in negotiations to find a united way forward.
Clarissa Ward joins us now. Clarissa, much to discuss on this in terms of the repositioning of what NATO represents, but I think the big thing today and the big achievement for NATO is the dropping of the veto by Turkey, allowing Finland and Sweden now to become a member.
It's crazy that they've dropped the veto. These things are in place to stop decisions being impulsively made. Now, is this impulsive? Yes, it is. The scenario is quite different to most of the other scenarios where veto might be put in place. But what NATO is basically saying is, yeah, okay, this time we do really want them to join, put it that way. I think it's in a global interest. It's certainly in the interest of Europe for them to be part of NATO. I just think their military capability alone is something that NATO needs. NATO is already powerful in itself. You know, when you've got America and UK involved, I personally think NATO is strong anyway with those groups, but it just makes it so much more strategically stronger having Finland and Sweden part of the member alliance. I'm honestly really happy with this, guys. I think it's gonna probably spur up a few things from Russia, but I don't think it. I definitely think it's going to hinder their movements. All right, they might threaten with certain things, but I don't think anything will materialize from them joining NATO at all.
And it's just a matter of time. The ratification in 30 governments around the world now in order to get them to join.
Yeah, it's happening. People are going to sign that straight away, trust me.
Huge for Russia in particular.
Absolutely. And, you heard President Biden earlier today, Julia, saying that President Putin, when he launched his invasion into Ukraine, was calling for the Finlandization of countries around Russia. And instead, what he's getting is the NATOization.
Yeah, this is the thing that we spoke about quite a bit on the channel. Putin's intention wasn't for this to happen, but the very thing that's happened is the opposite of what he wanted to happen. And in hindsight, how could someone as intelligent as him, with the people around him, make such a stark, he made such a mistake, really, in what he thought would actually happen. What did he think would happen? I think he thought people would just roll over and accept it. All right, yeah, just take this and this is what's going to happen. But the world has stuck up to him and went, no, this is not happening. What's happening in Ukraine? Everyone's just pile drived in, got their, and everyone's supporting Ukraine fully at this moment in time. And I think Russia is probably thinking, Jesus Christ, we did not expect this much support globally against us.
That border between Russia and Finland, some 800 miles long. So this is significant. Now, President Putin...
It's a significant border, but for a country as big as Russia, it's not that bad, all right. It's not that big a deal, but it kind of is, but it isn't at the same time,
In the past, has said that that they don't view it as a real security threat, that Finland and Sweden will now be joining NATO, although he did add the caveat that if any weaponry was moved to either of those countries, that it would become an issue which would need a very deliberate response. But
right, so there he is with these threats again, a very deliberate response. What's he going to do? Of course, weaponry is going to be moved there. When you look at the strategic positioning of those areas, weaponry is going to be moved anywhere. But, I mean, that's such a blanket statement. Weaponry's moving within those countries anywhere right now without being in NATO, okay? So that's happening anyway. So what he's trying to do is just use these petty threats again. Do I think anything will materialize from that? I'm not so convinced, if I'm honest with you.
No bones about it. President Putin wanted to rewrite the conventional post-Cold War European security agreement. And what we are seeing today is that he has done that, although he has not done it in the way in which he perhaps would have liked to, or certainly in the way that he said he would have wanted to. And you only need to look at this new strategic concept, this NATO doctrine, which has changed enormously from the last one, which was penned in 2010, which described Russia as a potential strategic partner, and which...
Yeah, I think he's just underestimated things massively. This goes back into this whole how he's getting his advice. And when you have someone so scary or perceived to be so scary by the people of Russia in Putin, I think what he surrounded himself with is a lot of people who are scared of him, a lot of political individuals who, maybe want to get to the top of their game so they can get paid more. So they're just going to tell him what he wants to hear. It's more of a yes man strategy. And that's what Putin surrounded himself with. Loads of people who are scared of him. Loads of people are going to just say yes to his every need. So he's walking around thinking he's God right now, thinking that every decision he makes is the best one because everyone around him's going, hey, guess what? What you're saying is perfectly right. Not really realizing that everyone's just scared to death of him because this guy is a dangerous man.
Now, in its newest incarnation, calls Russia the greatest threat to NATO allies. It does go on to say, importantly, Julia, though, that NATO does not seek any confrontation with Russia, nor does it pose any meaningful threat to Russia. But you can imagine...
It doesn't until it does. That's the thing. NATO is there for that reason, all right? It's a strength in numbers game. It's getting everyone part of this crew instead of part of that crew, and don't mess with us. And if you do, there's going to be ramifications. And that's the whole point of NATO. So to say that they're not a threat, I kind of get where they're going. They're just trying to have the dialogue set quite low in terms of the way they're trying to sell themselves as an organization. But be rest assured, guys, if NATO needed to respond in the most drastic of ways possible, NATO would do that.
That President Putin is watching this summit playing out and is certainly somewhat concerned by what he is seeing.
It's fascinating.
Right, well, he should be, guys, at the end of the day. You know, you can have your opinions on this whole thing happening in Ukraine, but there's one thing for sure. The world and the public opinion is really against it, okay? There's very few people I've ever spoken to or heard who's not against this, all right? Everyone's against the war there. This needless killing needs to stop. And yeah, is it a force for good, NATO? I think it is. Is Finland and Sweden joining NATO a good thing? I think it certainly is, especially for, and I'm going to be selfish here, especially for Great Britain. I think it's really good when you look at our borders. We got the sea, then you got Sweden, Norway, Finland, and all those countries. I think it's really, really good. It makes me feel safer at night. But what do you think, guys? Let me know in the comments. If you're this far into the video, press that like button, subscribe to the channel. And if you like these type of updates, me reacting to news and stuff like that, please let me know in the comments section if you've stayed to the end to hear what I've just said, so I can therefore respond and react on it and do more of this content if you want. But other than that, guys, thanks for stopping by. I'll see you in the next one.